They say the night hides more than shadows. It hides the truth.
Welcome to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where real crimes, true horrors, and restless spirits speak through the silence. Listen closely, because sometimes the whispers are real.
We all feel it sometimes. That tingle at the back of your neck, the sense you're not alone. Maybe it's the window left open a crack, the camera light that flickers for just a second too long. Or maybe it's the quiet certainty that something is watching you, waiting for you to look its way, so it can finally know that you've seen it too. Tonight, we step into the eyes of the unseen. 6 true stories, 6 encounters with the ones who never sleep, the ones who watch from the dark. You don't choose to work the night shift at a roadside motel unless you've got nowhere else to be. That's what I tell myself anyway. It's not a bad job, just slow. The kind of place where the hum of the vending machine becomes company and the tick of the clock feels like a heartbeat you're borrowing. I started working here 5 years ago at the Maple Cross Inn, a small, worn-out place off Highway 42. 10 rooms, 1 office, and a neon sign that still buzzes like it's holding on out of spite. Most nights are quiet, sometimes too quiet. We keep the lights dim in the lobby after midnight. Makes the place feel less lonely somehow. I sit behind a counter with the old register humming in front of me, watching the security feed. 10 cameras, 1 for each room's exterior door. But there's one room we never rent out, room 12. When I first started, the manager, old man Harlow, told me to leave it off the books. Maintenance issue, he said. Leaks, wiring, whatever excuse you want to use if anyone asks. But I noticed something the first week. Every night, without fail, the light in room 12 flickers on. Just a soft yellow glow behind the curtains. Sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes for hours. And then before sunrise, it clicks off again. I checked the breaker once. That line hasn't had power in years. I tried asking Harlow about it one night. He just looked at me for a long moment and said, "Some rooms don't stay empty." Then he walked away. I stopped trying to make sense of it after that, but I couldn't help watching. Every night, at some point between 2 and 3 a.m., the light comes on. Always faint, always steady. And sometimes, if you stand outside in the parking lot and listen, you can hear something inside. A man's voice, talking. Soft, rhythmic, like he's reading something. Once, I thought I heard him laugh. There's an old legend around here about a traveling salesman who used to stay at the motel back in the 70s. Came through twice a month, always requested room 12. One night, he never checked out. Heart attack, they said. Found him slumped in the chair, book open in his lap, lamp still burning beside him. They say he died mid-sentence. A few weeks ago, we had a power outage. The whole building went black. No lights, no hum, just silence. But when I stepped outside, I saw a single glow cutting through the dark. Room 12. That same soft light glowing behind the curtains like nothing had changed. The rest of the motel was dead. Only that room remained alive. I don't know why I did it, but I grabbed my flashlight and the spare key. The hallway was colder than it should have been. The carpet muffled every step, and the door to room 12 felt heavier than the others, like it didn't want to open. When I pushed it, the hinges gave a long, tired groan. Inside, the air smelled faintly of old paper and dust. And there, by the window, was the lamp, a cheap brass fixture with a yellowed shade, casting its light over a small table. On the table was a book, open, pages fluttering in the still air. The chair beside it was pulled out, angled slightly toward the door. Empty. I stood there for what felt like forever, waiting for something to happen. And then I noticed the pen. It was moving, slowly, steadily, as if someone invisible was still writing. I stepped closer and saw words forming on the page, the ink wet and trembling. They weren't random. They were a message. You shouldn't have come in. The lamp flickered once, then again, and in that brief second of darkness, I saw him, the salesman, sitting in the chair, head bowed, book open in his lap. When the light came back, the chair was empty again. I ran, locked the door, never went back inside. Now, every night when I do my rounds, I stop at room 12 and stare at the door. Sometimes I hear the sound of a pen scratching, or the faintest whisper of a page turning. And once, just before dawn, I thought I heard a man's voice murmur, "Still working." Last week, the manager finally retired, left me the keys, said I could run the place however I wanted. First thing I did was remove room 12 from the books entirely. No records, no key on the wall, just a locked door and a memory. But even now, when the lights dim and the night grows too long, I can see the glow leaking through the cracks. Soft, warm, patient, like someone still finishing a story he never got to end. My name is Daniel. I used to be a patient in the Elm Ridge Neurological Research Center, not because I was insane, but because I wanted to see again. 2 years ago, I lost my sight in a car accident. Head trauma, optic nerve damage. Irreversible, they said. I lived in darkness for 18 months before a doctor named Kessler contacted me. He said he was running an experimental therapy, something involving neural mirroring. The idea was simple. They'd map the visual cortex of a healthy donor and link it temporarily to mine. In other words, for the first time in years, I could see the world again, through someone else's eyes. The first few sessions were rough. Flickers of color, fractured light, like memories I didn't own. But by week 3, things started to take shape. I could see my own hands, the outline of the hospital bed, the soft blue glow of monitors beside me. It felt like being born again. Dr. Kessler explained that what I was seeing wasn't real-time vision, but an interpreted feed, a shared neural pattern from a volunteer subject. They didn't tell me who it was. Confidentiality, they said. All I knew was that my mind was learning to see through theirs. At first, it was beautiful. Whoever the donor was, they had a calm life. I'd see them sitting by a window, sunlight filtering through leaves, pages turning in a book I couldn't quite read. Sometimes they walked through a park, past fountains, people laughing, birds wheeling through the sky. I remember thinking, this is what peace looks like. Then, one night, something changed. I woke from a deep sleep with the headset still active, and instead of the usual calm images, I saw a dim hallway, gray walls, flickering light. The view was jerky, uneven, like the person was breathing hard. At the end of the hallway, a door stood open, and inside, someone was lying on a bed. The figure watching, my donor, moved closer. That's when I realized the person in the bed was me. I panicked, tore the electrodes off, but the image didn't stop. Even with my eyes open, I could still see it. The room, the bed, myself from across the dark. Then something else moved into view, a shape standing in the corner of the room, half in shadow. It leaned forward, and though I couldn't see its face, I could feel it looking back through the link, straight into me. When I told Dr. Kessler, he said it was residual memory bleed, the brain's way of interpreting sensory overlap. He told me not to worry, but the visions didn't stop. Every night they came back stronger. I'd see through the donor's eyes, but what I saw wasn't the world anymore. It was me, asleep, breathing, unaware, and behind me, that same shadow, closer each time. Sometimes I'd hear whispering. Not words exactly, just the soft rise and fall of someone speaking too close. Once I heard my own name. After that, I refused further sessions. They unhooked me, did their tests, and said my brain was stabilizing. But it wasn't. Now, even without the machine, the visions still come. Flashes in the corner of my sight, as if my eyes remember the link. Sometimes I'll blink, and for a second I'll see through someone else's eyes again. A street I've never walked,
a hand I don't recognize, a reflection in a window that isn't mine. And in every one of those flashes, there's always a figure nearby, a tall, blurred shape just outside the frame, always watching, always moving closer. Last night, I woke to a strange sound, a soft click like electrodes snapping into place. The monitor beside my bed flickered to life, static. Then an image, the same dim hallway, the same trembling view. Only this time, the figure wasn't in the corner. It was standing right beside the bed. And for a moment, just one perfect, unbearable second, I saw its face clearly. Mine. I think I understand now. The experiment worked too well. We didn't link two minds. We merged. And every time I blink, I can't tell who's seeing through whose eyes anymore.
They say that to be seen is to exist. That the moment someone's eyes find you, the universe remembers your name again. Maybe that's why they watch. The lights in empty rooms, the shadows that move just after you stop walking, the reflections that blink when you don't. Maybe they aren't trying to frighten us. Maybe they're just afraid to be forgotten. Are you watching? Tonight, we've looked through 6 pairs of eyes. Some human, some not so much. And if you felt that familiar weight at the back of your neck, that sense that someone was standing behind you even when you knew you were alone, then maybe you weren't, because the ones who watch from the dark never really leave. They linger in the corners of our screens, in the reflections we ignore, and in the stories we tell to make sense of the moments that don't make sense at all. So the next time you feel eyes on you when you're alone in the room, don't turn around too fast. Sometimes they only stay quiet if you pretend not to see them. We see you. Until next time, stay in the light, and remember, they only watch because you still can.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.